Hey, what's going on, guys? So No Man's Sky just got update 6.44, and this one is one of those patches that looks pretty focused at first, but once you go through the notes, there is actually a lot of cleanup packed in here. It is not one of those huge content drops where everything changes overnight, but it does a really nice job of smoothing out the rough edges, especially for anyone spending time in the Swarm expedition. And that expedition is really where a bunch of the attention seems to be going with this patch. One of the first fixes is for that weird physical resistance issue while collecting industrial waste with the Gravitino coil. That sounds like the kind of thing you might not even notice until it happens to you, and then suddenly it becomes one of those annoying little problems that keeps getting in the way. That has been fixed now, which should make the whole flow feel better. They also stopped pirates from attacking players in space during the Swarm expedition, which is a pretty big quality of life change if you were trying to focus on the expedition goals instead of constantly getting pulled into extra fights. On top of that, the number of swarmers you run into in deep space has been increased, so the expedition should feel a bit more alive and a little more intense in the right places. It sounds like they wanted to make the space encounter side feel more consistent, rather than random in a bad way. A couple of expedition mission issues got cleaned up too. There was a duplicate objective showing up in the mission log during Exterminator missions, and that has been removed. Target counts were also resetting when switching weapon modes during Sweeper missions, which is the kind of thing that can mess with your rhythm real fast. And for the Countermeasures milestone, the mission log now shows percentage progress with decimal precision, so the tracking should feel more accurate instead of being a little too vague. There is also a nice improvement for anyone playing in VR. The introduction sequence for the Swarm expedition has been improved, which might not sound dramatic on its own, but if you are actually in that headset, presentation matters a lot. Little things like that can really shape the first impression of an activity. Outside the expedition stuff, there are a bunch of gameplay fixes that clean up some long-standing annoyances. The Hive of Glass core was not properly showing the charging visual effects for its central laser, and that has been fixed. They also removed an incorrect freighter compass icon from the Hive of Glass, which should help avoid confusion when you're trying to figure out what you're actually looking at. Audio got some attention too. Recurring Atlas audio playback issues have been fixed, which is good because repeated sound bugs can become surprisingly distracting, especially when they loop in the background while you are trying to concentrate. Milestone icons were also showing up as white, and that has been corrected. There were missing markers on some salvageable parts as well, so that should make searching and navigation a bit less frustrating. Another visual annoyance involving the terrain manipulator, that red flickering effect, has been sorted out too. And there was an exposed variable appearing in Polo's dialogue, which is one of those strange little text bugs that can pull you right out of the moment. That has been resolved as well. It is the kind of fix that most people may not even think about, but when a game is this big and this text-heavy, keeping the dialogue clean matters. Multiplayer and networking also got a decent pass. Pirate Dreadnought torpedoes were not visible to all players in multiplayer sessions, which sounds like a nightmare if one person sees the threat and the other does not. That has been fixed. Nearby Sentinel counts shown in multiplayer notifications are now more accurate, which should help when you're trying to judge the situation without guessing. They also fixed incorrect Starship cargo scan alert audio playing when no scan was active. So hopefully that means less random noise while you are just trying to fly around and get things done. The user interface got a few tidy-ups too. Text clipping on the network options page has been fixed, which is a very simple kind of problem, but a very annoying one when it happens. They also addressed a graphical corruption issue that could flash briefly while loading into the game. That kind of thing is easy to miss in a bug list, but players definitely notice it when the screen stutters in a weird way for a second. And then there are the crash fixes, which are always welcome. They fixed a crash that could happen on the available session screen, a rare freighter-related crash, an animation-related crash, and a networking crash. That is the sort of cleanup that does not sound exciting in the moment, but it absolutely helps the game feel steadier overall.